everyone, and welcome to another episode of Everfree Radio. Our host, Final Draft, decided to take a few weeks off and backpack around Europe for the holidays, so he left myself and One Trick to fill in for him. With the lack of a new My Little Pony episode this weekend, we don't have a review for you, but instead, we have some interviews with some awesome community members. First off, we talked to Purple Tinker about the upcoming BroNYCon on January 7th in New York City. Then, we speak to the artist Speccy about his completely adorable Tumblr blog that is taking the pony world by storm. Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie. So, enough of my rambling, let's get this episode started.
Hello ponies, this is One Trick, and I'm here with 8-Track.
Hello.
And I'm here with Purple Tinker from BroNYCon. She's the founder of BroNYCon.
Hello.
And we just want to go over some information about BroNYCon that's coming up on January 7th. Looks like we got quite a schedule in store for us. Can you go over some of that with us?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Well, of course, the big attraction we have is we have 3 of the voice actresses lined up. We've got Ms. Nicole Oliver, who plays Cheerilee and Princess Celestia. We've got Ms. Ashley Ball, who plays Rainbow Dash and Applejack. And we've got Ms. Andrea Lindman, who plays Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, all lined up. They're going to be doing a Q&A panel, hopefully. They're going to be signing autographs, and we get all kinds of cool posters featuring their characters in stock. We also have some other events. We've got our our traditional costume contest. We're not doing a PMV contest this time, but we are doing a costume contest. We also have a variety of panels and demos, including some exclusive world premieres. We've got the world premiere of the sequel to Epic Cupcake Time, which will be aired at the con for the first time ever. We've got a sneak preview from Equestria Online, the MMO, which is under development. We have a sneak preview from the highly anticipated pony fighting game, Fighting is Magic, which should be really spectacular. We have a wide variety of community guests in addition to the voice actresses. We've got, of course, our gracious hosts from Everfree Radio. We also have their counterparts, Apple Cider and Chef Sandy, coming from Bronyville. We have at least one, and I'm working on a potential second guest from the staff of Equestria Daily. We've got too many community musicians coming for me to even remember off the top of my head. We've got Superstar Hoover coming. We've got Chain Algorithm. We've got Tarby. There have been rumors of others. I think we might be getting Pinkie Pie Swear. Pretty much all of the big names in the community for music. For art, we have Egophiliac coming. We've got John Joseko. We've got Pixel Kitties. We've got Garrett Gilchrist, the guy who did the pony coloring book, and also some amazing work on humanized ponies. We've got just an incredible lineup between official members of the My Little Pony staff and, community luminaries. It should be a really spectacular event for all.
Wow, it definitely sounds like you have a lot of guests and a lot of special people coming to this. What number BroNYCon is this that you're throwing here this upcoming January?
This would be our 3rd. The first one was back in June. That was our initial large event coming just a month after our first regular meetup. That had around 100 people. Possibly a few more. It seemed a little crowded. But that had around 100 people. That was our first event in June. Our second was in September. Our guests of honor then were Setisto from Equestria Daily and director Jason Thiessen, who took over from Lauren Faust when she stepped down. That had around 300 people, possibly a little more. This is our 3rd, and it's looking like we're probably going to have around 500 people, maybe more. And, it just keeps growing.
Now we have a special virtual guest of honor. How is that going to work?
Yes, the interview with Daniel Ingram. We're going to have that via Skype, and we've done this in the past. In the event in September, we had an interview with Eurobeat Brony, which was conducted via Skype, and that went really well. Basically, he's going to be up on the big screen, take some questions from the audience, answer them, etc.
Sounds wonderful. Sounds like we're going to have a really, really great time. So, going back to the very beginning, what brought you into the Brony My Little Pony online community, and what drove you to throw a convention based on it?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, what brought me into the community is actually a pretty easy one to answer. I was exposed to a PMV. It was one of those mashups where they take a number of songs. In this case, I think there were 5 or 6 or 7, and synchronize it with video from the show. And I was like, wow, this show looks like it's really well animated. Maybe I'll give it a try. So, I watched the show to figure out what all this buzz is about. And contrary to my expectations, I actually got hooked, and the rest was history. As for what motivated me to create the con, shortly after I got into the fandom, I decided that because we have such a great community online, what we need to do is start moving some of that community, some of that togetherness off of the internet into the real world. There wasn't any meetup system at the time for ponies. You know, in the Brony fandom, there were meetups for collectors of G1, G2, and G3 ponies, but there wasn't really a meetup structure for bronies. So I decided, well, someone needs to make it, why not me? I created a meetup and created the group Bronies NYC, which to this day is basically the parent group behind BroNYCon. And we had our first meetup in May of 2011, and we had around 30 people in an Italian restaurant in Little Italy, not too far from where I'm standing right now. Also happen to be in Little Italy at the moment by sheer coincidence. And someone was bandying about the idea of the name BroNYCon. Someone's like, wow, this is like a tiny convention in here. It's like BroNYCon. And, well, you know, the name stunk. So the following month, I decided we were going to have something bigger, and I moved to get us a proper venue, which ended up being this convention center in Midtown Manhattan. And I moved to get us some guests of honor. Our first guest of honor was Cabal, founder of RainbowDash.net, which I have since assumed control of. And it just went upwards from there.
So have you ever, before this convention, have you ever run any other conventions prior to this, or is this your first foray into the convention world?
This is my first foray into the convention world when I'm running it. It's not my first foray into the convention world in terms of attending conventions. I've been to several conventions in the past, not too many, but I've never had any experience running them prior to the first BroNYCon back in June. And as I'm sure you can imagine, it's been sort of like a crash course, and I've had to learn a lot of things really quickly.
Well, it seems to be going very well so far.
Thank you. I'd like to think so. People have a good time, and that's what means the most to me, really. Hearing ponies saying, I had a good time, seeing them writing good reviews, you know, writing about how much they're anticipating the guests at the next convention. And that's the sort of thing that makes it all worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you run us through the day of the 7th, a rundown of what the day is going to look like for a convention goer?
Absolutely. I can give you a rough rundown. The actual final schedule is still being nailed down, but I can give you the basics. The convention opens at 10 o'clock, so that means that if you're in the Artist Alley, you're going to actually get there a little before at around 9 and start setting up your booth. But general admission opens at 10. Usually for the first hour, maybe 2, we don't have too many big high-profile events because we want to let people get through registration. We call that period Reg Rush. And Reg Rush is a very hectic time if you're in line. It's a really slow time if you're not in line. We usually have a few minor events, people showing clips from the show, people showing old-school content, playing video games, a few minor panels. Nothing that you would really regret missing, hopefully. We try to avoid as close as we can scheduling anyone or anything for that first hour or so. After the first hour or so, after Red Rush is complete, then we move into the middle of the day. We start to have some more serious panels. Some of the bigger draw events in the main hall are going to start to occur. Then there's usually another lull around lunchtime where we let people go out and get lunch. We'll put some of the minor panels there, some of the ones we expect to have, for whatever reason, a smaller draw, or panels that have limited appeal, for example. You know, the people who want to attend a panel about music might not be the same people who'd want to attend a panel about art or vice versa, things like that. So we try to schedule it so that people will have a choice of which panel they want to attend and which panel they'd rather skip out on to eat lunch. Although, obviously, if you're not hungry, you could theoretically stay in there all day. Later in the day is when we start moving into the big ticket items, the Q&A with the voice actresses, stuff like that. And then, as we move into the evening, we usually have our auction, our costume contest, and, of course, our raffle. Those are usually some of the last events of the night. This time, we actually have so many musicians that we're holding a special sub-event, basically, for the musicians called BroNYPalooza. And BroNYPalooza is basically going to be a concert, sort of an event within the event that is BroNYCon, where all these different community musicians are going to get on stage and have 15 or 20 minutes to perform. And it's going to be really awesome. That's probably also going to be in the evening as well.
Sounds like a really packed full schedule.
It is.
So this BroNYCon is going to last one day, the Saturday. Have you ever considered possibly for the next BroNYCon extending it to a multiple-day convention?
Oh, absolutely. As a matter of fact, that sort of an expansion in hours has been on our agenda for a long time. We've basically reached the limit of how much we can pack into one day. This event is going to be 12 hours long. It's just an all-day smorgasbord of all things pony. But yes, we're definitely reaching the point now where we're going to have to move to a 2-day or possibly eventually 3-day schedule. Most likely at our next convention, though that's obviously still up in the air.
Okay.
Well, obviously you're growing larger. Is the numbers for this going to be big? Are there going to be a lot of bronies at this one?
Oh, yes. Like I said earlier, we had 100 at our first one, 300 at our second one. We're already pushing 450 registrations on this one, so I'm expecting at least 500, possibly 600 at this one.
Seems like we're growing exponentially.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling, actually.
Looking at some of these Q&As that are going on, is this just going to be a stage event where the crowd is going to give questions for the voice actors?
Well, they're going to have the guests of honor on the stage with their microphones, obviously, and the events are going to be moderated by our radio show hosts, Apple Cider and Chef Sandy, and possibly some of them by you guys. Basically, the crowd is going to be able to submit questions on little cards, and then the hosts, the moderators, will choose from those questions which questions they want to ask the guests of honor, which will then get asked and hopefully answered satisfactorily.
So the attendees to the event will be able to submit those cards there at the panel when they walk into the room?
I think actually what we're going to do is we're going to have people walking up and down the aisle collecting them and bringing them up to the moderators.
As far as the Artist Alley is concerned, what kind of attendance are you expecting for this?
The Artist Alley is always one of our biggest and most popular features. This time we've got literally around 150 feet of halls to work with, and we intend to make the fullest use of them. We have, I think, somewhere upwards of 24 booths, so it's going to be pretty packed in there. It's going to be chaotic, it's going to be loud, it's going to be fun.
Sounds exciting. And what does the Brony merch store entail?
The merch store. That's one of my favorite things because I get to make half the merchandise myself. The Brony merch store is where we sell our T-shirts, we sell mugs, posters. Posters are usually some of our biggest sellers because we design them ourselves. We get art from some of the biggest luminaries in the community. This time we have a poster design being done by John Joseko. We've got one being done by Cooper Hasties. We've got one being done by, who else is doing one of our posters? We have some being done by Tim Kangaroo or Timothy Fay. And I do a lot of graphics arts work on them myself as well. And also, in addition to selling our con merch, like the posters and T-shirts and the mugs, we also sell official Hasbro merch. And this time, that's going to be a kind of a big thing because with all the voice actresses here, people are going to want to be able to buy a Rainbow Dash brushable and have her signed by Ashley Ball, for example, or a Cheerilee and have her signed by Nicole Oliver, or a Pinkie Pie and have her signed by Andrea Libman. And you'll have that opportunity. So we sell a mixture of official Hasbro products and fan-made products. And this time we're adding something new to the mix. Our wonderful sponsors, We Love Fine, are actually designing a shirt for us, which I've seen, and it's an incredible design. I actually had a little bit of a hand in picking what went into the design, and it's really spectacular. And we're going to be selling those as well.
I have a feeling you're going to have all of my money.
All of my money, take it.
Yeah, we're going to have all of a lot of ponies' money, and it's going to be a good thing because it costs a lot of money to put these conventions on, let me tell you.
Absolutely, quite aware of how that works. I have to ask, was it intentional to put it in Manhattan?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't have a convention in New York without having it in Manhattan, can you?
So we noticed that in order to sign up to the event online, you have to go onto the Bronies NYC meetup page and RSVP and pay there. I also saw that if you did not pay there, you could pay at the door, but I think the price was different. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. What we usually do is the price at the door is $5 higher, and that's what we're doing this time. It's $40 if you pay online. It's $45 if you pay at the door. But one bigger advantage, really, of paying online is that instead of getting a blank name badge and a Sharpie to write your name on it, you actually get a nice pre-printed, laser-printed name badge with not only your name in that nice pony font, but also your icon as well, as uploaded by you to your Bronies NYC profile.
That sounds great.
Sounds fantastic.
Definitely will make me want to register earlier, for sure.
Oh, yeah. There are a lot of perks to registering early. Plus, of course, you get access to our media boards.
Obviously, BroNYCon is on Saturday, January 7th. When do you imagine the next BroNYCon will be?
Well, after this, I'm not sure exactly when the next event is going to be. Usually what we do is we put it up for vote by the community. And this time we're growing at such a rate that I'm not certain if we're going to do that because it'll be extremely difficult to get an accurate picture of what the community wants. I've actually toyed with the idea of holding a poll at this BroNYCon, but obviously that would skew the results in favor of those who want one in January because they're able to attend this one in January. So I haven't yet decided if we're going to put the exact date or even the month up to a vote, or if we're going to decide by fiat when it's going to be. But the general trend has been to move into a more stable con schedule. When we started, we were going to have one every 3 months because of the incredible speeds at which the fandom was growing. And the fandom is still growing, but obviously we can't put on a shindig this big 4 times a year. So if you look back, you'll see that the time between the first and second BroNYCons was 3 months, and the time between the second and third was 4 months. So the time between the third and fourth might be 6 months, might be a year. Personally, I'm inclined to move to a bi-yearly schedule. I think once a year is still a little bit too spread out for the community's needs, whereas anything more tightly packed just puts more stress on myself and my staffers. So most likely, if I had to guess, it would be sometime in middle of 2012.
I do look forward to it. And speaking of looking forward to things to come, what do you look forward most about this convention coming up?
Oh boy, there are too many things to even mention. Obviously, it's always a great honor to work with people from the community and with people from the show. I can't wait to travel home with my bags loaded with posters and brushables and other toys covered in signatures and my con book filled with doodles. But most of all, the most important thing to me is hearing that people had a good time. That's what I look forward to. Afterwards, when every pony says, "That was great," that's what I live for.
And it definitely sounds like everyone's going to have a great time at this convention. Now, you mentioned off-air something about the community and charity.
Well, one thing that I think might be worth mentioning is, as of right now, the Humble Brony Bundle, which is actually a coalition of bronies donating to the Humble Indie Bundle, has now become the largest single donor to the Humble Indie Bundle in its history. The Humble Indie Bundle being a charitable bundle of games where you choose whether your money is going to go to the developers, to charity, or to a mixture of both. It's actually a really wonderful effort that appeals to me both as someone interested in making the world a better place and someone interested in video games. And, well, earlier today, the developer of Minecraft, Notch, dropped a huge donation on the Humble Indie Bundle people and actually surpassed the bronies. Well, what did we do? The bronies banded together, donated more money, and came out on top. So in addition to having fun at these conventions and making some incredible art and some incredible music, the brony community also is incredible at being generous. And I wanted to point out that the organizer of the Humble Brony Bundle is none other than Cupcakes, who happens to be one of the founding staff members of Bronies NYC. And that makes me exceptionally proud.
Fantastic. And an element of harmony.
Exactly.
All right, well, this has been myself, 8-Track.
And 1-Track.
And we've been talking with Purple Tinker of BroNYCon, which is on January 7th, 2012, in the great city of Manhattan, also known as New York City. Their website is www.bronycon.org, and you should all go sign up online right now to get your pre-printed name badge complete with your avatar for the con and show up and have a great time. Thank you for joining us, Purple Tinker.
Was a pleasure.
Next up is our interview with Speccy, the artist and author of the Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie blog. But first, here's Elements of Harmonics, DJ Pone 3 vs. Octavia by Chain Algorithm.
Hello, ponies. This is One Trick, and I'm here with Moonlight.
Hello.
And today we're talking with the author of Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie Tumblr, Speccy.
Hello.
Specky, what drove you to start a Tumblr this adorable?
I think it was an Ask Fluttershy done. I don't actually know the artist, and I saw they also did a Pinkie Pie one, so both my options were sort of cut out. So I decided to put both of them together since.
It seems like a good combination, and I love how you play them off of each other the way that you do. What kind of inspiration do you get? I know when you first started, you probably didn't have many followers. What really got you started on probably the first couple of the stories there?
Well, there was, I think, I'm not even sure if the fanfic was out at the time, but I honestly didn't really get much inspiration at the beginning. It was sort of just a small fling. It wasn't that active when I first made it until maybe 1 or 2 months later when I started picking it up again.
When about do you think it really started taking off? I know I've been watching it for many weeks now. I can't pinpoint exactly when it started, but first time I saw it, I had to follow you. And when did it really start taking off for you?
I think somewhere in July-ish or October, I'm not sure. September, I can't remember. But there was a huge mass of posts.
I remember catching it on Pony Buru, seeing it there, and I was like, I think probably one of the first images that I saw was the juice box. I thought the Fluttershy juice box was the most adorable thing I've ever seen. How did you manage to come up with the juice box idea? I mean that's such a throughput now. Of course, with your most recently the party cannon that shoots out the juice box. Where did that come from?
Well, we had Pinkie just randomly talking about something. I can't remember what it was, and Fluttershy was sort of just standing there, and I didn't really want her to just sit there like statue sort of thing, so I gave her a juice box.
Well, that seems to have turned out to be a pretty good throughput for the comic. I mean, it's great just to see, everyone's doing juice box here and there. Every time I see it pop up somewhere else, first thing I think of is this blog. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
You get a lot of comments. Recently, I see that you hit the 4,000 subscriber mark. You must get a ton of comments every day. How do you go through and pick the best ones?
I just go through scenarios in my head, figure out which one would look the best or the cutest or whatever.
And I see you don't shy away from some of these questions. You actually take some of the harder ones and turn them around to be really adorable. I love how you do that, especially when confronted with a question like Fluttershy being adopted. Was that the one that I recently saw?
Pinkie Pie was
It was Pinkie Pie being adopted?
Yeah.
I love how you make Fluttershy, when she's waking up in the morning, I love how you make Fluttershy look like she's all grumpy and stuff, but then as soon as Pinkie Pie's in her, she looks fantastic. Is it always kind of the Fluttershy is the less cheerful, and then Pinkie Pie comes and brightens her up?
Typically, yeah.
You have a very distinct art style for the blog. Is that your normal art style, or is that just for the blog itself?
It's really just for the blog. I don't think I've really ever done anything else like that outside of the blog.
Do you do any art outside of the blog?
Yeah, I do a lot of art. Too much art, actually.
How much art?
Well, I think in the past year, I've drawn at least 400 pictures, not counting the ones I haven't uploaded. So that's at least one or more a day.
Sure is a lot. Are those all pony pictures, or are there any other things you draw?
Yeah, they're mostly all ponies, all humanized, but I don't really do many humanized ponies.
Would you say that pony is your biggest fandom?
Yeah, pretty big, close up there.
I know that the Tumblr format is you ask questions and you answer them. Is there any selection process for your questions?
Well, like I said before, you pretty much just run through and find anything that you could turn around to be funny or cute. Sometimes the questions, like when you get a question so much that you feel obligated to answer it just to, make everyone happy, those ones can be hard because it's more forcing the question rather than just finding something cute or funny.
Do you get many of those? Like, do you get a lot of the same question?
Yeah, there's one going around a lot about seeing both of them as fillies, and I honestly don't really know what to do there, rather, because I don't really just want to, draw both of them as fillies and pass that off. I want to kind of put something behind it.
Gotta have a little bit of backstory on that one.
Yeah.
Now, you do touch on a couple of the memes that are out there. Do you normally try to stay away from them and just keep more original, or do you just throw in a couple here and there just to keep with the flow of the internet, as to say?
Well, that depends. If it's funny or I like it, then yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. But if it's just something going around, then usually try and not go with it, so to speak.
Now, one of the normal questions that we ask everybody that we interview is, how did you become a brony, and what really inspired you to, or what really got you to watch the show and get so involved in this community?
Random browsing through the internet. I came across it last November last year, 2010, I think, yeah. And I ran into it somewhere. It didn't really click at the moment, but I think a month or two later I sort of came back and decided to watch a few more episodes, because by then I'd already watched, I think, the first two. I liked it, but didn't really hit me as hard as it did later on.
Now, you said previously you do a lot of other artwork. Have you gone to school for this? Is this something you would like to do professionally? Do you imagine yourself being a cartoonist or anything like that?
Originally, no. I actually planned on being a programmer of some kind, but then I realized I didn't really like maths at all. So I tried to give this a shot, and I don't know, yeah, we'll see how that all goes out.
You mentioned that you do other kinds of artwork as well, mostly pony stuff. Do you have a deviant art, or do you post this to like Pony Buru or such?
Yeah, my DeviantArt page is the same as my name, Speccy SY.
Looking at your DeviantArt page and some of your other art that you have here, you do have a very different style from the blog. You do have a pretty refined style. Where's your inspiration drawn from when you come up with these types of drawings? I'm looking at this one picture here of yours titled In the Meadow. It's definitely a variation on your Tumblr style. Where do you draw this kind of style from, as it's so completely different from what's on your Tumblr?
I'm not sure, actually. That's just how things come out when I draw them.
Obviously, we have Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie on your blog, but do you have any other of your, I would say, more favorite characters that you like to draw?
Anyone that's known, Pinkie, is actually getting bigger, a lot bigger. Twilight is actually kind of fun to draw as well. Just surprisingly enough, her mane is actually kind of hard for me. And Rainbow Dash is pretty fun to draw as well.
It's funny that you mentioned that Twilight's mane is hard to draw, being that it's probably one of the more simple ones. You always find the complexness and simplicity.
Yeah, I just can't get the curves right for some reason, I don't know.
Seeing as there's such a difference between your blog art style and your art style you have on your DeviantArt, would you say that the blog art style was meant to enhance the cute of the blog, or what exactly were you going for with this particular art style?
Well, to be honest, I sort of just took the art style from the other two I first saw when I made mine, and I think it was the Apple one as well. That was also done in that crayon-y sort of style.
On the most recent one that you did where they had the two presents, was that your intention the whole time to pick one and then refer to the other? Because that was amazing. I'm so glad you went that way.
I actually had no idea what was in the boxes when I drew that first image, or those first few images. I did it and then spent probably the next day trying to figure out what exactly they were going to do with the boxes. And everyone was always commenting about how they couldn't pick both, so I figured out a way for them to open both.
That was great, because I was wondering the same thing when I read that. I was like, no, I have to pick one. I want to know what's in both of them. I really like how you resolved that one.
It was very adorable. And I'm glad you resolved it in a way that you could see both boxes opened. Obviously, you have your own Tumblr blog, but are there any Tumblr blogs that you follow yourself?
There's the Pie Sisters one. That one's been around for a while. I actually really like that one. I'm not sure how new it is, but there's Ask Posey as well. I reblogged a post they did there. That one's actually pretty cute as well. What was it? The Ask Ruby Pinch one. That one's actually pretty adorable as well. And Dr. Adorable. I think those four are probably the most ones that I look at.
What do you think the average time you spend building one of these posts to your blog takes you in a day?
Well, a single image can take like 10-20 minutes, but when I make longer ones, I don't know how, but they manage to extend a lot longer than they should.
Probably the answer to come up with takes longer than actually drawing, you might say?
Yes. I'm pretty sure with the more difficult questions, when I just start drawing without knowing what I'm doing, I'll probably go through several images until I actually land on one that I've actually liked.
On any given day, how many questions does Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie receive?
Usually somewhere around 50 to 100 on a good day, or bad day, however we want to look at it.
I think it would be a good day considering how popular it's become.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell anyone? Any upcoming projects? Anything we should look out for here in the future?
Not that I can think of at the moment, other than that comic that I'm working on, but it's becoming kind of a pain to keep up with now with everything else going on.
Which comic was that one?
It's based off a fanfic by Pat Roizen, I think it is, and it was kind of supposed to be a backstory for the whole of the blog.
Is this a public project or is it not out yet?
The first chapter, I suppose you could say, is finished in comic version. The second one I'm working on now, and I think I'm up to page 3. It's not finished yet. So there's 2 pages out of that one, of the second chapter.
Are these located on your DeviantArt?
Yep.
Alright, well thank you for listening. This is One Trick.
This is Moonlight.
And this is Speccy, the author of Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie by Tumblr. If you're not reading it, you really are missing out. You need to get over there and take a look at it. Thanks for listening.
Well, it's that time again. Thanks to Speccy for joining us in this episode. His Tumblr blog, Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie, continues to be completely adorable in every way imaginable. If you're in need of some lighthearted moments at any time, just check it out at Ask Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie, all one word, .tumblr.com. Check the description below for a direct link. Also, thanks to Purple Tinker for coming on to talk about the upcoming BroNYCon. It's next Saturday, January 7th, in downtown Manhattan, also known to non-pony folk as New York City, at the Hotel Pennsylvania. Their website is www.BroNYCon.org. It's going to be a huge extravaganza of everything pony. If you want to go but haven't RSVP'd yet, you're highly encouraged to do so now. You will be able to pay at the door, but it'll cost you $5 more, and you won't get a sweet, pre-printed badge with your name and avatar on it. Also, we, Everfree Radio, will be there at the con, covering all the events as they happen. We're going to stream all the main events over our pony stream live for your enjoyment, and we're also going to attempt to have live video from the venue as well. Keep your eyes on our site for updates on these plans as we get closer to the con. Finally, I'd like to thank our tireless staff for all their hard work in bringing all the episodes to you, the viewers. Many hours are spent slaving over a hot digital audio workstation. Hey, who wrote this? To bring you the product you see and hear. Oh yes, social media. I almost forgot. I'm sure all of you are following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, and subscribing to us on YouTube, right? Alright, just checking. With that, so ends our last episode of 2011. Here's looking forward to an even better 2012. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next year.